Legend: The Origin of Valentine's Day. In ancient Rome, Emperor Claudius banned marriages for young soldiers, believing they fought better when unmarried. A priest named Valentine defied the emperor's orders and secretly performed weddings for couples in love. When Claudius discovered Valentine's actions, he was imprisoned and sentenced to death. While in prison, Valentine befriended the jailer's blind daughter and, according to legend, restored her sight through a miracle. Before his execution on February 14th, he wrote her a farewell note signed, "From your Valentine." His sacrifice inspired the celebration of love on this day. The Lost Message. Mario found an old letter in his school library. It was dated February 14th, 1950, and read, "I will wait for you in the park, under the old oak tree. Forever yours, Andres." Curious, Mario investigated and discovered that the letter had never been delivered. The recipient, Lucia, had waited that day but never received any news from Andres. Moved by the story, Mario took the letter to the park and left it under the old oak tree. Minutes later, an elderly woman passed by, picked it up, and smiled with tears in her eyes. Lucia, now in her old age, had finally received the message she had waited for all her life. And for a moment, in the park's breeze, she heard Andres whisper, "I was always with you." From that day on, every Valentine's Day, a mysterious red rose appears under the old oak, as if love had transcended time. The mystery deepens. The story of Lucia and the lost message spread through town, and soon, people started visiting the oak tree every February 14th. A historian named Elena became fascinated by the legend and searched old records for information about Andres. What she discovered shocked her. Andres had gone to war and never returned, but his last known words were, "I will find a way to reach her." Elena spoke to Lucia, who confessed that every Valentine's Day, she felt a soft whisper in the wind, always saying the same thing, "I am here." Skeptics dismissed it as coincidence, but some visitors to the oak tree claimed to feel a presence, warm, gentle, like the embrace of a lost love. Love beyond time. One year, Lucia did not come to the park. Concerned, Elena visited her home and found a single red rose on Lucia's bedside table. Lucia had passed away peacefully in her sleep, a soft smile on her lips, as if Andres had finally come to take her hand. Since then, every Valentine's Day, not one but two roses appear under the oak tree, one for Andres, one for Lucia. Their love, undelivered in life, had found its way beyond time. A love that waited, a love that endured, a love that never truly ended.
The Forgotten Promise. Santiago found an old letter hidden inside a dusty book in his grandmother's attic. Dated February 14th, 1942, it read, "I will wait for you at the train station, under the clock. Forever yours, Fernando." Curious, Santiago asked his grandmother, Elena, if she knew anything about it. She sighed and whispered, "I never received that letter." Fernando had promised to return after the war. Elena had waited for him at the station that day, but he never arrived. Heartbroken, she assumed he had forgotten her. Time passed, and she moved on, but deep inside, she never stopped wondering. Determined to uncover the truth, Santiago searched war records and discovered that Fernando had returned. So why hadn't they reunited? An elderly station master told Santiago that every February 14th, a man with a red rose used to sit on the bench under the clock, waiting for someone. He came every year, always hoping. But he stopped coming 10 years ago, the old man said with sadness. That Valentine's Day, Santiago took his grandmother to the train station and placed a red rose on the old bench. Elena felt a gentle breeze wrap around her, and she heard a soft whisper, "I always waited for you." Tears streamed down her face. She looked at the clock and finally understood. Fernando had never forgotten her. Days later, Santiago found an old newspaper article. Fernando had passed away 10 years ago, on February 14th. That night, Elena dreamed of the train station. Fernando stood under the clock, smiling. "It's time," he said, reaching out his hand. The next morning, Elena passed away peacefully. Since then, every Valentine's Day, a red rose appears on the bench, a promise never broken. A love that waited,